Good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Monday, June the 26th, 2023. Excuse me. I am beginning tonight here on the NASDAQ, and I'm going to start on the 4-hour chart. And while the overall longer-term pattern remains the same, I continue to look for an additional several legs up before this entire counter trend rally is complete. The pattern now has shifted just a little bit, and that the downside in the NASDAQ, while I was allowing for additional, still, I guess, was appearing to be more limited. And so I went back to a count that I was using on the NDX, an alternate that I was running on the NDX, and then also the index and the SPX. And I've now shifted those to show them here on the NQ on the futures market. And that is taking the minor third wave, which I placed here, with minor 4 being here, and then this being all part of the minor 5th wave up. And even within that, I was looking for a minute 4th wave and one more 5th wave up. And as this continues to unfold, again, one of the things that Elliott always talked about and did warn analysts for was the look and feel. And so when a count is not beginning to look like it fits in the degree or just in the position, then it really behooves the analyst to kind of start looking at the alternatives or the alternate counts that we are using and see if that doesn't seem to clear up some of the, not necessarily confusion, but just some of the not solid look and feel to the count. And so moving that over, number one, it gives additional room to the downside for this 4th wave. And it shifts it from a minute degree to the minor degree, which fits more cleanly for the look and feel. So in other words, it's like as a minute 4, in the context of where I had it, it was getting too big. And so I can just kind of push this open a little bit here. I'm just going to mark it so that I can see into there. Being that, again, within this context, we had 1 and 2 down here, minutes. If this was minor 3, minor 4, minute 1 and 2 were down here. So this just really was much larger than what would have been wave 2. In fact, wave 2 on the 4-hour chart is almost can't see it. So that really was the catalyst for me to kind of go, okay, well, let's just step back, take a look. Let's look at the NDX. Let's look at the cash market, and that's where it started to kind of roll into place for me, and I made the change. Not necessarily, I mean, for those that want to say, well, you were wrong, it's like, okay, sure. I will be more than happy to say, yep, on that particular account and using the way I did, yep, it was wrong. And it implied a smaller pullback versus what really is happening. But it still implied that there was additional upside yet to come. So what's going to change here is maybe a little, maybe a lot. We have to now let the market come in and finish up this, what now will be called a minor 4th wave. And again, right now it's come down to 0.236 of a retracement, and that's at 14,840 or 14,008. Well, I'll actually say, let's see, it came all the way down to 844, 845. Let me get that down right. 14,853. And the support is just underneath it at 18,845. So it's gotten very close. And I can't really consider that it's complete. I do think we need an additional leg down. So the next fib level comes in at 14,454. So it's additional, it's a 400-point drop. Not impossible for the NASDAQ to do, considering the strength that it had on these rallies, where they were, 400-point rallies. Now, I'm going to drop this down to that hourly chart so we can start to look at some of the internals here. And so where this was minor, now it's minute. Minute 4 goes here, and then minute 5 up to that high versus that high. So the 15,474 high, 474.50, I believe it was, or 15,475.50. That's what it says. Is the completion point for minor A3. It's kind of a difficult, a little walk down, kind of like all little W's and WXYZs and all sorts of things going on. But ultimately, I think we're going to be looking at least a C down, if not a triple. So complex, which is another thing that was kind of like throwing it off, because again, remember that within the corrective family, there are several times that you have up to 13 different choices of what the market is doing. Like impulse, there's only one impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in corrections, there is a straight ABC, there's a zigzag, there's a flat irregular, there's a double ABC, a triple ABC, triangle patterns within the triangle. So there's so many combinations that the market can really toss out at us. It just makes it very difficult. And it just presents, the market's actually telling us, really, they have no idea. It's confusion. But they're trying. Either this is a reason to buy, that's a reason to sell. Now you're trying to combine it, and everything's going to get mished and moshed and mashed, and then we get what we get. So again, today it was more that, remember that this week, as we're working towards Friday, which is the end of the quarter. And so Friday's expiration is end of the quarter expiration. So it's a quarterly. And so there's already, we saw today, some of the adjustments that are being made on portfolios on what they're going to keep in, what they want to take out, what they're going to pare down, what they're going to add to, all the different things that portfolio managers and money managers and everybody in between is needing to do to move into the third quarter. So what they need to do to finish the second quarter, what they want to report, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all that is going on. And it's going to continue for this week. So today we saw that basically within the NASDAQ. That's where the largest moves really were taking place. And they were in some of the big high flyers that we've had leading up to this point. NVIDIA, Netflix, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, all finding both sides at various points. A lot of buyers coming in, then a lot of the sellers coming in, and then the sellers being very persistent for most of the session. And again, primarily in Google, Apple, AMD, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Netflix, NVIDIA, and Tesla. So Tesla, big flying stock, rally. And now, in one day, like today, down over $15. NVIDIA down also over $15. Netflix down $8. Meta down $10. So it's a lot of adjusting, a lot of just position adjustments being made. And so I think that's going to continue. But we're going to get both sides. I mean, if they're making adjustments to the sell side, that money's being put somewhere. So it's just being reallocated or it's being moved around and they're going into something else. But I would suggest also that we're going to have those that likely are going to come in and go like, oh, okay, well, we want to add to our position in NVIDIA or create a new position in NVIDIA or Netflix or Google, et cetera, et cetera. And now they look at these prices that we're going to get a chance to do that at. So that may happen as well, which is going to force a clear upside move. So again, looking for additional downside right now. If I had to kind of come in, it kind of is appearing that we had an A, B, this is a C, this could be an X, A, B, this might be part of the C. So maybe we're finishing up a double. But still additional downside would be required on that. Eventually, once I get that fourth wave in, then I'm going to restart all the fib cycles that are going to cover us for these next legs up. Going back out to the 4-hour chart, the only one that remains intact right now is that intermediate C wave, because that's the one that's still in place or still in force and still needing a minor fifth wave now to complete. And so that still is going to come in. That 1.618, where intermediate wave C would be 1.618 times the length of intermediate wave A, still applies. And that is at 15,770. And then above that, we have 2.618, and that remains valid. And this was a request by a subscriber, and so I have agreed, and I said, yes, I would do it. And all this line represents is the all-time high, and that is all-time high, 16,767.50. So when you can see what I'm talking about, when I say that, and this is a little bit towards the larger picture, I cannot disqualify or say no that we will not have any irregular B wave. And that B wave, folks, is not the one, this one. That B wave is on the primary degree. Here's primary wave A, that's coming down off of that all-time high, primary wave A, B, and we get the C wave going up to form primary wave B. And it could end up being an irregular. We don't know yet. We have to wait and see. I still don't have a low for wave 4, etc. Going back down, let's go all the way down to that hourly chart. So what we've got, if we get a continuation, the next fib support actually is 14,454, and that's going to be 0.382, where minor wave 4 would be 0.382, a retracement of minor 3. And we have the fourth wave of 1 lesser degree coming in right there. So on an Elliott basis, this reigns supreme as being the completion point. Elliott notated several times that a fourth wave in progress will find its terminus usually within the price territory of the fourth wave of 1 lesser degree, if not close to its terminus, and that's right there, its endpoint. So it's right there. So that lines up. If minor wave 4 came down to that, halted, and then started to cruise again, it would fit to a T, so to speak. So we've got that going on. And then, so right now, I am not necessarily going to be counting out additional upside, or even give like a guesstimate of where things might start to go. I am going to allow it to happen, and then we'll be able to fill it in. But one of the things that will come back into play will be minor 5 against minor wave 1. And we'll have all of those just coming from a much lower level. So many of these, because minor 1 has not changed positions. So if I even connected it to there, you're going to see that we're going to be up into the 2.618 and higher levels, getting back up above 15,475. So we're going to have to wait and see, because then also within that minor fifth wave, we're going to have minute waves 1 and 2, and a 3 and a 4, and then we're going to be combining for minute 5, minute wave 1 to minute wave 5. So we still have relationships to put into place on waves that haven't been put in yet. So one day at a time here. So if tomorrow, while yes, we're at the very, very top edge of this fourth wave of 1 lesser degree, I am going to be looking for it to drop inside of it and get as close as it wants to 14,454, which is that fib 382, perfect, within the fourth, makes a clean minor four, it all comes out. Let's see what happens. But also bear in mind, at a pretty strong down day, we might rally a little bit tomorrow, but I think it all stays within the context of just a fourth wave in progress. So even if this turns into 1, 2, and we're working on a C wave down, if this is A and this is B, and we're working on this C wave down, 1, 2, and now we're into a third, we should still maybe get a little rally, but come back in and drop down. So we're looking, I am continuing to look for a little bit more downside before we start to take off. And Tony, that one's for you. So I'm laughing, don't worry about it. In the ENS, boy, now I can't even talk. You're gonna have to bear with me, folks. In the S&P, how about that? I also did the same thing. I went out to the SPX and I had been running a alternate count there as well. It changes a little or nothing here in the S&P. Because the S&P really has held, even when I was counting this as just a minute wave 4, it was holding it pretty cleanly. And all I've done is as in the NASDAQ, I moved that minor third wave, which was way over here, putting the extension into the fifth wave and into wave 3 of minor 5. And I've just now made them more congruent with one another. And there's 1, there's 2, and it would be the third wave that extended cleanly and numerous times. So I am putting that up here. So at that high at 44, which was 44.90, 44.94, let's round it up. That was the completion point for minor wave 3. And now we're in that minor fourth wave. So here as well, we coming back down to the hourly so we can take a look inside of this. It's pretty complex actually, but it's the same. You know, what are we working on here? Is this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's an A, that's a B, or is it one ABC? This is an X, and now we get another more complex ABC. And is it complete here? We did have that support, remember, at 43.65. It kind of got close. We got down to 68. So is that close enough? Is this complete? Did we come down into the 4? We did. Now we're exceeding it. So this would be the 3, and that would be the minute 4. So this is a fourth wave, and even if we want to consider that, but instead we're using this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be the fourth wave. So it is extended beyond. On a fib basis, we need to allow now for additional drop of about $60 down to 42 or 4,300. And that still could be a minor fourth wave, and then we line it up to go higher. Now remember, the further down it comes, as we add our fib levels for minor wave 1 to minor wave 5, that is still, it's going to extend quite a bit, because that minor 1 remains the same, and it's going to come out way over to here, possibly to here. Here it might still project that we're going to get above 4,500. So we have 45.56, and then remember, for the what we have, these are for the intermediate C wave. Now, and sorry, I forgot to put it here. Our all-time high here is 48.08. And so that's going to be about right into like there. So if we go here, it's going to be more in line with an irregular B wave. Those both remain in play, but it looks like we will continue to pull back. And we have that fib support at, I'm going to say 42.98, but it's actually going to be closer, probably 4,300-ish. And it doesn't change the count. It just allows for a little bit larger because the degree, it's 1 up. Otherwise, there is a fair chance that we may have completed here in the S&P, and we kind of hold here, maybe bounce around or come down a little bit, and then turn and start to go up. In that case, then we start adding our fibs. Right now, can't tell. Got to let the market do what it needs to do. But here as well, we did see downside here in the S&P today. Not as hard as in the NASDAQ. Maybe that shifting will come more prominent tomorrow or later in the week. So again, we could get another internal rally coming back up, maybe to 4,400, maybe a little bit higher, dropping back down. So this whole corrective structure is not complete. And like I said, it could be a double. It could be a lot of combinations in here, all pointing lower. At a minimum, I think we're probably within a double ABC down. And so we're just going to let it play out. And so we can get a grip on what the internal counts are going to look like. And so this could be 1, 2, and this could be 3, and that's 4. And then this is the 5. And then we have another. There's another, these are little 3s. So what is that? And then this, and then this. So we're getting a lot of little bit confusing messages here as to what all of our moves are really telling us. Correction, I'll give you that. So I'm going to let this all play out. And so downside continuing, I do not believe the upside is over. I didn't when I came on yesterday, and I still don't. I still think we still have additional upside. 4,500 and above really does still play into the cards. Now, what can upset that? It's going to, again, be something that's going to come via the geopolitical. And there's a lot out there still that could really upset that apple cart. We have a lot of things going on outside of the economy that will affect the economy. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of teetering, a lot of like, okay, well, what are we doing? How do we want to price this stuff? We have a lot of things in terms of what is going on in interest rates as well. So this is how I'm going to leave it for today. I do think we need to allow for some additional downside to complete the minor fourth waves in both the ES and the NASDAQ. And then we will see a resumption of the upside, and then we'll be updating all of the fibs. Next up, it will be on Tuesday, June the 27th.